Hello, Kaylee. This is Tack, and this is the Orange Blossom Special. And I'm going to. You already have a video of me playing it at fast speed. I'm going to break it down, play it slowly for you. I'm going to show you a couple different ways to bow it. I'm going to do this in a way that you can start off, and then you can come back to as you get a certain part down. Uh, so what I'm saying is it's going to be kind of like a beginner, intermediate, and advanced way to be able to play this song. So you can learn the first part that I'm going to show you, and then as you get better and want more, you can come back and fast forward to the part on this tape that will have the second lesson. I'm going to try to edit this on a YouTube link, so it will break it up for you. All right, so this is part one. Yeah. All right, part one. Let's just start with way I very first learned this when I was 13. Earl Collins, the old man that taught me, he taught me the old style way. Now, the Orange Blossom Special is a song that was written somewhere, I believe, in the mid-1930s, maybe 1936. The man who kind of got it well known, his name was Chubby Wise. And Chubby Wise's style of playing it, he didn't write it, someone else wrote it. But the person who wrote it didn't actually make the song famous. Chubby Wise ended up playing with, he was the fiddler with Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys. Ironically, the next person to come along and really make the song great was Richard Green with C-Train. But Richard Green, as a very young fiddler, he played with Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys as well. A lot of people, just about all the people that were great in the 1970s had played at some point in the 1960s with Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys. David Grisman, all those guys actually played with Bill Monroe. So here's the Chubby Wise version. The Chubby Wise version starts off with the E and B. The introduction is an E. The song is actually in the key of A. So, but because when you're playing in the key of A, you got A, D, and E as chords. We're starting off on the E chord of the A, which is starting off with the fifth chord. Okay, so that's that E and B on the D and A string. And a lot of this song is kind of sound effects. You want to try to get the sound of a train. So instead of just playing, you don't play that, you get the. Sounds a little flat on my E. This is the old Chubby Wise version. You want to make it sound like a train, so. I don't do this at all, but even on that video I sent you, I think some people are doing it. Sounds kind of scratchy if you do it here. But if you do it here, not so scratchy. You hear that in there, and you get that dictator. And then you got this other chord, which is a B and an A sharp. So you find all of these little chords that I actually started finding on my own this sound. So wherever you got these kind of B and E sounds, B and A, G sharp. So you can actually play that. Those are all just B and G sharps. Same thing, B and E. Now, I learned, like I said, from my fiddle teacher, how to play it with the... And he just showed me those two chords. I'm just showing you a couple others that you can throw in there. On my own, I figured this one. Which is really nice. A lot of fiddlers play it. It's playing the same shape of B and G sharp and sliding it up to... And then when you do and then of course you can do all those little little bluesy things. Some people play like theme songs to famous TV things like Flintstones. Anything in the key of E. And I never liked to do that. I mean, people did like, I'm working on the railroad. I never liked those things because I liked the old way and the way that Richard Green plays on C Train. Even when you listen to Mark O'Connor play it, and you can find the Mark O'Connor version when he was still kind of a young man. He's the same age as me. That there are influences from both when he plays it. And then he just is really great fiddler, so he's just putting all kinds of E little licks in it. So anyway, you can do all that kind of stuff. Then when you get ready to take it down to the crossbowing, you go to that shape, the E, the B, and G sharp. Usually, that's the clue to the band that's just playing. It's a really hard song on drummers and guitar players because they're just playing at this fast beat. Okay, let me grab the guitar because you're going to be able to play this song on more than one instrument. That's the pick out of my mandolin. Okay, so there's my old... I hope I'm in tune. Good enough. Close enough for country, that's what I say. There we go, my Mr. Tack... It's probably backwards. Mr. Tack brand guitar. This is a funny story with this guitar. This is my Yamaha, and I had a really nice Ovation, and I was doing my street performing juggling act, and I had an Ovation, and I wanted to trade it for a guitar that I could use in my show, that I could balance on my face while I played the fiddle. So it's balanced here. So I go in and I put down my nice guitar and said, the vintage Yamaha on that wall, because they were all vintage, they were good Yamahas. They were not, the cheap ones. And I said, with this guitar as a trade-in, can I get any of those? I said, go ahead, try them out. So I went ahead and I tried them out. But the store owner was probably still remembering me today because I picked my guitar without playing it. I went through all their guitars and balanced each one on my face to see which one fit on my chin best. And Yamahas have this nice little V here that fits into balancing on my chin. So that's my Mr. Tack guitar. So you're just doing this, playing an E. So the whole band's just doing it. And now, when you get to that one part where you're going to do that shape that I just mentioned, okay, that's the walk down to the A. Now that the signal for your band that you're about ready to do the walk down, and the bass player is going to bum, 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 bum along with you at that time. To get them in, you have to do the... Okay, other times you could be doing crossbow, you know, in the beginning, you know, and stuff like that. They'll just keep playing the dun, 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 dun. So, but when you do the okay, that tells everybody you're going to do the walk down. Okay, those are all chords played with one finger, just playing fifth notes. So that isn't. This isn't. This is an F sharp and a B. Then down to that E note, E chord, which is just an E and a B. And then flat it. Yeah, okay. Okay, so open, string surgeon. So that's the A. Everybody goes to the A. All right. So on the guitar, they're gonna go do 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 do. Just two times. A, D, in. You know, so the interesting thing is when I was playing this and trying to teach people to play it, I, on the fiddle, play, it sounds like I'm going to another chord. It sounds to the guitarist that I'm changing. And what I mean by that is you start on the A, then you go to your D chord, and then you go to your E chord, and then the highest chord you go to of these four chords that you're going to play in the shuffle, in the crossbowing, the last one is an A. And then it goes back to A again. So the guitarist is playing A, D, E, A. Then you start again, A. So it throws off the guitar player when they hear you go to another chord because it's still just the same chord. It's just an A lower down. And let me show you what I mean what that is. All right. Now, you're already playing these chords, I believe, but I'm going to show you a little fancier way to do this, and we're going to work on the bowing. And also, you didn't play it the amount of times that you need to play it. So... E. my fiddle teacher taught me to play. You know, go over and just learn the chords first, and later I'm going to take this to the number 2 part, and we'll get to that on how to do a fancier bow. But we're going to just work with this one right now. This is a little shuffle, and again, this is going to be your. Always start on your down. Don't go this way on your first beat. So it's going to be. So that first note of the when you get to the A, D, and A strings is a down one. Okay. It's supposed to sound like a train. Okay, so all that is 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. This is not the hokum shuffle. The hokum shuffle gets people a little bit more excited. This is a very straight, old style way of playing. Now let's go to the next part of this song, because basically that will just work with you practicing. You notice I slide that. So, hear that slide? This is not a slide. That's a slide. Now, there are lots of ways to play the next part, but I'm going to show you just the way that I first learned it. It's very simple. It sounds like scales a little bit to me. Start on your A string. So simple. Pretty simple, right? It's just straight up the scale from an A. There are other ways to, fancy that up, because all it is just it's just a scale, but you can play it. You just got to make sure that when you end on that B note. Okay, and then the next part. Okay, it's kind of weird to play it slowly. All right. okay. Okay, you got that? So it's G sharp. Right. So you got that begin da 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 da. Let's take it to the guitar. So now they've already done the walk down 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 cross blowing. And then we get to that part. Goes to an E. Then the E string. Okay, and then it repeats that first part of the. And now this is where it's gonna go. Goes to a D. So let's do the D part. And that ends on a D chord. So we go. Actually, you just caught me. I was just playing in a different way because I was teaching you before. And I think very often, as a fiddling thing, I don't do the D note. Only those two fingers. Should be the D, but. So I was only playing two fingers there. So anyway, yeah, like I said, you can come up with your own way to do this. This ends up being a signature tune as to how you want to play it, as long as you're playing those right chords. So. Okay, now we get to that D chord, where we go up to the A note. Okay, so I'm doing the G sharp, but I'm sliding it down to a G. And then just play a D chord with your F note, F sharp, and a D. Okay. Okay. Is that simple enough? So. Yeah. So then after you do that walk down, then I slur it again, back up to that A. So again, that's a train sound. Okay, so this is remembering how I first learned it. Might be hard for this one part because I've done it my own way for a long time. So if I go. That's my way. That was my tag that I ended up coming over time. And it might be hard for me to remember the original way. Something real simple like that. Might have been that simple. Then back to that again. All right. Now I'm going to pause here. And we're going to go to number 2. Okay, number 2. Here we go. Let's go on the next stage of this. You already got all that other stuff done. You got all the basic Chubby Wise way to be able to play it. Let's make it a little more interesting. Start off now with the introduction. We had that very simple. Now, I don't do that. I went through another phase where I started playing it kind of like the Orange Blossom Special way, where they start off like out in the distance. You know, if you have a volume pedal with, you know, not this violin, but I have another violin that's electric, you can have a volume pedal and you can control your volume, make it sound like it's far off in the distance, where you go. Right? Okay, so all I'm doing is that dictator shuffle on up between a couple chords. Now, what I'm doing to start getting sounding like a little bit more fun, you're playing the E and the B, and with your other 2 fingers, you're doing it. You know, so you're doing your slide. So all that is that, but you're playing it with a double stop. Same chords I showed you before, but now we're adding that fast shuffle in there. All right. Actually, there was one thing I didn't teach you in one. I should have done. That you know, that they do. Back when I first learned the song, that's how you end the song is. Trains coming into the station. And then they put on the brakes. All right. Sorry I didn't show you that in one. But anyway, it was always, you know, kind of a funny thing to do that was very old style. But we're not doing that one now. We're going to show you this more C-train-ish type of very bluegrass shuffle. Do this. Now, you know the crossbowing that you learned. So when you get really good with that, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Now you can do this, where you play. So it's that shuffle with the B and the G sharp. And then move that B down to a B flat. So all that is, I'm just moving that index finger back and forth there. It gives your audience a little bit of a expectation of what's going to come when it goes to that dun, 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 and they love that crossbowing. So you give a little bit of the crossbowing in the beginning. Another thing that I started playing with along with that was to do this, which is kind of fun. It's a high energy. It's just E string and the B note. Right? It's just another version of that chord. Right? Because this is an E and that was an E. And then I play my D, which is a seventh. So let me show you how I used to do it. A little bit of slur. This is your D, C sharp, C, down to your B again. Now here's where I throw in my one song that's different. It's Sally Gooden. And C-Train did a really nice version of Sally Gooden that was really exciting. Sally Gooden is usually played in this key, A. So I change it to E and play it here. Play an octave. So you're playing your E string and your E on your A string. God, I'm playing it horrible. My fingernails need to be cut. God, I sound horrible. So anyway. Yeah. God, I need to cut my fingernails. Damn, they're too long. Let's see. Hope that's better. All right, I cut my fingernails. Let's see. Yeah, keeping your fingernails short makes a big difference for playing when you're playing with that little finger down. Okay, for a second, let's go to the do this in the key of A, just so you're learning Sally Good in the right way. To play this song really well, you should learn the Georgia Shuffle. And I'm not sure that I'm actually playing the Georgia Shuffle right here or not, but I can send you something on that. I've got a CD of Richard Green's. It's a DVD. It's a DVD. It's a lesson with Richard Green, and he goes over this song very briefly, and he shows the Georgia Shuffle. He shows some other things. He even shows his crossbowing, and he shows his chops. I've had this for a long time. I'd be happy to send it to you. I need a mailing address to send it to you, but I could pack it up and send it to you. And if DVDs run in Europe the same as they do in the United States, you should be able to see it. You might have to have a different setting. I don't know. Anyway, I do have it, and you can have it if you want. I've got everything that I need out of that. So anyway, that's that. So I play it kind of fast. So I play that. It's a little bit of an effect. Before I go into it, I give that little scream, which is the I'm playing an E on the A string with my little finger, and I'm playing a G sharp on the E string. So if you can play that, that's the way that I chose to do it. It's really kind of my way. And you know this from Devil Went Down to Georgia, but this was long before Devil Went Out of Georgia came out. I would do this. So what I'm doing is just a little chord, just like you would with a G. And when I get down to the end, I'm playing a B, F sharp. And that's my cue. That's my cue to the to my band that I'm about to do the. Okay, let's go over that for a second. What I just did there. There are these unison notes that Richard Green used to do, where he's playing with his this finger. So let's play a B, and let's play a B on your E string. Slide that up, and that sounds really cool. Sliding it down sounds really electric. And dropping it down on the pinky, on the little finger, down a half step makes you a seventh. It sounds like the title track to Psycho. I used to have an answering machine that I turned on water running into a bowl next to my answering machine. And I would say, hi, this is Tack. I can't answer the phone right now because I'm taking a shower, because it sounded like water's going. And I'm practicing the fiddle. Shower scene, right? Funny. So anyway, you've got that seventh. That's that. We'll call it the Psycho. Thing. So anyway, when I start this thing where I'm playing down, I get about that far, and then I change and I add the little finger. Oh, something's happening on my computer. What is that? So now it's screaming, right? Because I change from that 2-finger chord. I'm not doing this anymore because I changed to. It doesn't sound right. So. And then to that. So that's kind of a really cool electric sound, It's just a fifth, a B and a F sharp. Okay, now we're going to get into this a little bit better. Now you learned how to play the. Well, I'm out of tune. It sounds like. Sometimes I put it out of tune by playing too hard. It's not that bad. Now you can play that. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to play. This is just a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2 and a 1. Okay? The interesting thing about this is you start with the down, and then it goes to down, right? But now you're starting the next time you do the 2 with an up bow. See what I'm saying? The first time is all down bow. The second time is up bow. Okay? Really slow. Okay, let's just run through the chords. This is a hokum bow. Now, there is kind of a shuffle that's all different. Now, this is all down bow. Doesn't matter what you're doing with the. Okay, this is a different sounding. One is hokum bow, and one is this other style that I learned. I don't even know the name of it, but every time you go to the higher strings, you're doing a down bow. Hokum bow is alternated from up to down, and it gives a really nice sound, you know. The other one is, but the way that they do it is that they don't actually move very far. It's just a little. Yeah, well, that's the first one. Okay, let me go through the different ones. There's actually 4. Here's the one you learned. Here's the one I just said. Okay, and then here's the hokum bow. It's so hard for me to do the hokum. Okay. Okay, and then there's this other one that goes. It's really hard. It's a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. That's the whole thing for one time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2. And that's what I'm playing when I sent you that video, which is kind of fast, you know. When it gets fast, it's a little, it's hard to tell what it actually is. But so 4 different kinds. The hokum bow. Okay, there's this. What you just learned. It's hard after playing it fast for so long to break them down. But so anyway, that. Now, some people, when they play this song, they will start off with one time through like this. And then the next time they come around and play the song for the second time, then they go to the. And then they'll do the hokum bow, and they'll add these little. Now, I'm probably playing that last version of the bowing, but I'll show it to you in hokum bow style. You with me so far? So it's the 2. And when it comes up, we're going to put our little middle finger down on the F. Got me? Instead of just that. we're playing the next chord, but we're going to use our index finger and play the B. Okay, and then we go to our next chord, same thing as the first A, but now we're on the E. Okay. Now there's two more things that they do there. Let's go to that E again. What did I do there? I did a walk up. So we're on that E chord. I showed you that before. Instead, we're going to go. Okay. Really slow. That's a half step up on my. I'm just doing all half steps. So I'm playing on my index finger. And then you end on that chord. Now the other one is on the first chord. Instead of playing the with this middle finger, we're gonna lower our C note. See what I did? All right, so then it sounds like this. All I'm doing with that is I'm substituting that chord for this chord. So you're still doing the, but normally you'd be going to this chord. Instead of this chord, you're playing this flatted C down to your B. And then skipping that chord and going. Usually they go together. That one where it does a little walk up and the other one where it drops. So the first time through you play it. Played fast in my style that I do that weird crossbow and it'd be like this. Okay, let's get into the more advanced parts of the next part. I think I spent enough time on hokum bow and double bow and crazy bow. So, okay, now we're going to get more into adding our kind of jazzy, bluesy sounds in here, my style. Now, right away as I kicked off. You know, I'm already playing fast, so. So I'm not even doing that. You know, Vassar Clements, when he plays, he does what I just did there. Very little movement with the bow. With one little bow. That's a Vassar Clements style. That's not my style. I want to get some strum. You can do anything as long as it's on the A. And I always find that with this middle finger, that's all your blues. I still add that. But that's where I get that sound. You can just practice your middle finger. Little trill, little grace note. I still hit that A because we're playing on the A chord. You can still do that old stuff. That's really old sounding, but if you want to add more blues to it, you just got to make sure you're hitting A stuff. But then when it comes to that chord where it changes to the E, to the D, no, to the E. You're going to hit that E with your E string and your B. Or one of them. You have to hit that E chord with something that sounds like an E. And then the I do that kind of things. Okay, so I do this weird electric stuff. You know, where it's just a sound effect. If you can do that. Okay, so just a sound effect. You know. Then you want to go down to that D, and so I play like. But Richard Green had this. Which was really good. Because again, it's that blues note of that middle finger playing that C. Sliding up to the A string. You could add an open string. It might even sound a little better not playing that because that's really old bluegrass style. But and then you're into your ending, and my ending is. So I gotta play it fast, I think, to get to my ending. Okay, so that's my little fiddle tag ending that I just made up. It might be hard to slow it down, but we're gonna try. So I'm sure I go to an A, which brings you back to, well, very quickly, let's go to the guitar for a second because you have to understand what chords you're playing over on that ending. So when you're playing this, let's go. So after you hit that D, it plays the D again. A. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm playing it wrong. Walk down. And it gets back to the E again. I think I'm playing that right. Let's just check it again. Yeah, okay. So that's what we're doing. So let's go to the fiddle, and we'll just chord that out. Those are the chords, okay? D, A, E, A, E, okay. Now, if you wanted to just finish it off like I did, I don't even go back to that because I was only playing it one time through on the video I sent you. I play. Typical. Okay, so. One more time. Something like that. I mean, this is a really typical ending for lots of fiddle things. And then I just tag on. One more time. Really slow. Okay. and then only on 2 fingers. And I usually play a little thing at the end, like, yeah. And I'm not hitting the E, I'm hitting the E and A. Yeah, and it's that little. It takes a little bit of time to get that one down, and but it's gutsy sounding and all that. Now, there's a middle piece to this song that a lot of fiddlers won't do because they don't feel comfortable singing. You, on the other hand, have a great voice, and you should sing this song, and you should sing it in harmony with your backup, and people will love it. And this is the C train version, and different people kind of sing it all one way, and I like the looking yonder coming, the C train version, so you're in E. And this is where the fiddle just, you can do all kinds of blues riffs and little fast little, shuffles and things like that. And there's tons of stuff to study from the video I sent you with Vassar Clements and friends all playing, because they all do something different. Okay, this is another, I just played an E7 up here on the neck. It's a C7 moved up to the 5th fret. Looking yonder coming, I can sing better than it. Let's try it again. Looking yonder coming, it's looking yonder coming. Very hillbilly. Come down the railroad track, looking yonder coming. And you can do this for a long time. Start playing some A stuff on the fiddle. Come back in. Come down the railroad track. Whoa. It's that orange blossom special. This is where it changes to a B7. Again, you can play all kinds of stuff. Bringing my baby back. And into that, Well, actually, I just played it a little bit too fast. All right. That's the end of this part. To the C part, I'm going to play you some guitar to practice this song to. Here we go. 2 times through. Start speeding up. So, if there's anything I have forgotten to show you, I mean, um, you know, work on your arpeggios to your E, um, yeah, and that will give you all kinds of neat stuff to do. Um, anything in E during that E part, you know. I know what I forgot to show you. Richard Green did this neat little thing. Okay, because you're playing in the key of E, you can use that G sharp on your low string. It's a nice little walk up, you know, where to be. I screwed it up. And once you're here, there's this little, let me remember how this goes. Yeah, so you do that little walk up. I like to play, I'm playing it with my ring finger, which makes it hard because I don't use my little finger so much. I'm sure you do, great as a violinist, and so you can. So from that note. So what because I'm not very good on my little finger, so I drop that instead of like that. So then I can put my it's a neat little sound. That's very the Richard Green thing. Okay. There's a ton of stuff here. Let me edit you something. And best of luck on this. All right. Kaylee, until next time, keep fiddling. Here we go. Off.